Good morning, my name is Toby and welcome back to the GBP USD Lab. Hello, quick note just for this video series is that it's the weekend, which is why I'm on LTC USD, just for the visual aspect while I go through this very short tutorial. In the last video, I talked about how I review losing weeks without blowing everything up. Today, I want to talk about something that sounds obvious, almost boring, but in reality, it's probably the hardest skill in trading: patience. Everyone says trading requires patience. Very few people explain what that actually looks like in real life. Because patience isn't just waiting, it's how you wait, and more importantly, how you behave while you're waiting. Most traders would describe themselves as patient. They wait for the session, they wait for price to reach a level, they wait for a setup to appear. But patience doesn't end when price gets close. That's where it usually breaks down. The moment price starts moving, the moment something might be setting up, the urge to act kicks in. That's when anticipation replaces patience. And anticipation is where most bad trades come from. The difference between waiting and forcing. Well, there's a big difference between waiting for a setup and waiting to be in a trade. One is calm, the other is tense. When you're truly waiting, you're natural. You're open to price doing nothing. You're fine with missing moves. When you're forcing, you're already committed emotionally. You're looking for reasons to enter. You're negotiating with your rules. That difference is subtle, but it's everything. This is one of the biggest reasons why I only trade GBP USD. When you're watching multiple pairs, there's always something happening somewhere, and that makes patience almost impossible. By focusing on one pair, you start to understand its rhythm. You recognize when movement is meaningful and when it's just noise. You stop expecting opportunity all the time. And that expectation shift alone removes a huge amount of pressure. Impatience doesn't just cost you bad trades, it costs you clarity. It leads to early entries, late exits, over trading, revenge trading. And one of the worst parts is none of those mistakes feel dramatic in the moment. They feel justified, they feel reasonable. But over time, they erode consistency. Not in one massive blow, but through 1,000 small cuts. How I practice patience. Well, for me, patience isn't a personality trait. It's something I have to build into the process. That means clear session times, clear conditions for engagement, clear reasons to stay out. If those conditions aren't met, I don't negotiate with myself. I don't try to make something work. I step away. Because patience isn't passive, it's an active decision not to interfere. Patience gets harder as you improve. Well, one of the strange things about trading is that patience often gets harder as you get better. Because now you see more, you recognize potential setups earlier, you understand what could happen, and that knowledge makes waiting uncomfortable. You feel like you're being held back, but in reality, you're being protected. A good trading day isn't always a profitable one. Sometimes a good day is not trading at all, avoiding a bad setup, sticking to your rules. Those days don't feel rewarding in the moment. There's no dopamine hit, there's no confirmation, but they're the days that build consistency. Patience is what keeps you in the game. Most traders don't fail because they're unlucky, they fail because they can't wait. They rush the process, they rush the outcome, they rush themselves. Patience doesn't make you money directly, true, but it does keep you in the game long enough for everything else to work. This channel exists to slow things down, to strip trading back to what actually matters, to focus on behavior, not hype. If patience is something you struggle with, you're not broken, you're not behind, You're just learning the hardest part of the job. In the next video, I want to talk about boredom and why it's one of the most useful signals in trading. If this small lecture resonated with you at all, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.